Welcome to this Around the Ropes YouTube exclusive as we continue the Dynasty Week right here as we are days ahead of as the Dynasty makes their debut up in Waterville, New York. Folks, definitely go get your tickets. It's purplepass.com/4 Impact. Now, guys, one of the matches we're going to be seeing Saturday night will be seeing Black Roze, spelled R-O-Z-E, not R-O-S-E, taking on our guest right now, making his return to the podcast. We have not seen this wrestler since the Capital Gains show in October. The one, the only, Wayno. Wayno, how you doing tonight?
Good. I mean, you can't have Dynasty podcast without, Captain Dynasty himself, right? I mean,
as I've always said, you're a Dynasty original.
That's right. Straight from Troy, first show with Troy, and then in Troy, and then the Boys and Girls Club, and then it's been one hell of a ride since. So,
but like I said before, nobody has, you weren't at the show, the Mall Brawl in December when you weren't at the show in February. So, what's been going on since any of the Dynasty fans have seen you last?
Well, when you have your father, Mr. Mann, taking cheap shots on you, sicking his dog on you, it gets pretty intense. So, sometimes you got to step away and do what's right for you, and that's what I did. I did what was right for me, stepping away for a minute. Like I said, it's going to come back to me being mentally healthy, physically healthy, and I plan on punching Mr. Mann in the mouth. So, again.
Now, obviously, we saw, at that show, he ended up siding with Brandon Smuth.
Yep.
Looking at it now, how'd that make you feel with everything that transpired that night?
Well, obviously, I don't put anything past Mr. Mann anymore, or Dad. He takes and he will bite at my heels, snip at me, and, I'm never surprised when my dad takes those cheap shots and goes with who he thinks is going to win, as he would put it. And that bull rope across my throat is a tough reminder, and made me take a step back. And honestly, I want to get back in there. I want to go after Roze. I want to win that match. And then Brandon Smuth is in my sights all the time now. That's all I could see when I turn around. And honestly, that's where I want to be.
So is it safe to say then you're laying out the challenge to Brandon Smuth at any future Dynasty show?
Exactly. It's not going to be a challenge. I'm going to punch him in the mouth over and over and over again. I don't care. Honestly, the way things happened at the end of that match took me to a whole nother level, and I'm honestly ready to fight. And I hope he's there, and I hope I can punch him in the mouth, to be honest with you.
So is it safe to say then that when that time comes where you two do have that rematch, and I personally think you two are set for a collision at a future show, is it safe to say that it wouldn't be a match per se, like, you're going to have your collar and tie up, your arm drag. It's going to be, he'll be in the ring and you're just going to be coming for him, guns blazing. I know that's the right way to put it. But
it's going to be a brawl. Yeah, there won't be any in-ring action. I'll take him outside the ring. I'm going to beat him around there. I'm going to take that bull rope. I'm going to wrap it around his neck and beat him with the other end of it.
Now, have you been able? Because obviously, like I said, you got a big opponent coming up this weekend, which I'll definitely want to get to that in a second. But with everything that transpired, have you been able to figure out a way to kind of make sure that doesn't come into your match? Because here's my fear is because of what happened, and I understand what happened was traumatic. I'm not taking that away from it. I just don't want it to end up affecting your match this Saturday. If you see where I'm going with this.
No, I'm gonna put Brandon's face right on his face, and that's all I'm gonna think about.
So realistically, yes, you do have a match against Black Roze, but you're looking at the bigger picture of you want to get your hands on Brandon Smuth for what he did to you back in the October show.
That's right, I do. That's all I've been thinking about. That's why I had to take that break. Just mentally exhausted. That's all I can think about. So I had to take a step away. Also working on my physical health, making sure I'm in shape and ready to fight. So that's why I did that. And, I'm obviously missed the last show. I heard it was an amazing crowd, one of the biggest in Dynasty history. So, I'm upset I missed that. I wish I could have been there. I wish I could have been fighting, could have put on an excellent show for that crowd. But, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do for yourself.
Now, you said, you've been training for this match. Have you done anything different with your training? Because I'm just saying that because I've had Black Roze on here before, and he comes from the world of being, former football player, and I think he used to be a cornerback, and he does have speed. Have you been able to kind of change up a little bit of your routine to keep up with somebody like him?
So cardio wise, I've been stepping it up. I've been hitting the treadmill, been running more. Weather's starting to turn around, so I'm getting out, getting that fresh air, starting to get that cardio up so I can get ready for this match. And then on top of that, I still got to bulk up because Brandon is a big boy, and I'm going to have to be bigger.
No, and I get that, and I definitely can tell the frustration that you have, and towards Brandon Smuth. But looking ahead, with your match with Black Roze, you don't have to go into full detail now, but what is your mindset looking in this match? Basically, let's call a spade here. If you get the win, which I personally I think you will, this could put you in a good position. Obviously you get past him, you get past Brandon Smuth. This could put you in a huge position with the Dynasty going into the fall.
Yeah, so honestly, I want to win. That's my goal. Black Roze, he's a great competitor. He's been running his mouth a lot. Obviously, I've been hearing it. He's been running it a lot. I know he wants respect. I'll give him that respect when I'm in the ring with him. I'm going to look him dead in the eye. We're going to have a great match. But I plan on coming out of there with a W. And past that, like I said, it's probably going to be a lot more different than what I've done in the past. I'm used to bigger guys in the ring. He's a little bit smaller, a lot quicker than I am. So I'm just going to have to be ready for that, some of the high flying stuff. And honestly, I think I'm ready. Like I said, been getting in better shape physically. Mentally, I'm in a better shape right now than I have been. So I think I'm ready for Black Roze.
You said, that you're used to facing guys who are, of the bigger stature, like the aforementioned Brandon Smuth, like we've been talking about. Does your approach change at all with this match, being that Roze is a little bit smaller?
Yeah, you got to trap the little guys. You got to get them down to your level. Keep them on the ground. Avoid that high flying. Try to make sure that keep hands on him as much as possible throughout the match. Because once he gets going, he's fast. He does some amazing moves out there. So just keeping him grounded is going to be my best bet, and that's honestly the way I look at it with him.
And I think the fact that that the two styles of wrestling here, I think, are going to make it for a very entertaining match. But in the position you're in, does your head have to be on a swivel, knowing that Brandon Smuth will be in the building that night and Mr. Mann as well? Knowing, like I said, knowing the back history that you guys have.
Oh, my mind is always on that. It's got to be, because Mr. Mann will take any cheap shot he can. And Brandon Smuth obviously isn't above taking those cheap shots, so I have to be ready at all times. I mean, that's just the name of the game when you have Mr. Mann as your father, and then he's got that bulwark of a rhinoceros called Brandon Smuth.
That's a funny way to put it, but yes, I can definitely see that comparison. But like I said, I see and I hear the frustration in your voice. My biggest thing is I hope that you're able to kind of when you get into the ring and you're looking across the ring on Saturday and you see that it's Black Roze, that hopefully with everything that's been going on, hopefully that doesn't get in your way, so to speak. That's the only thing I'm just trying to get at here.
Yeah, I plan on putting my full focus on Black Roze going into this match, but obviously I have always got to think about Mr. Mann being there, including if he's in the building. He's got to be obviously in the back of my mind the entire time. But Black Roze is going to be my number one. My goal, long-term goal, is obviously I would like to move up and start competing for more of like Dynasty championships and stuff like that when they get there. So I want to make sure that I'm in a good place, and winning matches is how I'm going to get into that good place.
And I can see that you bring up the championship thing, and one of my other interviews, I had Chris Envy on, the owner, promoter,
Yeah, I know the guy.
Yeah, I think you might have heard of him. And I mentioned the whole thing with championships in it because I said this with Sergeant Fury. Do you feel like going, and this is sort of in the same thing with your match with Black Roze, being that this is realistically the second time people are going to be seeing you and I know you've been a part of Dynasty since the beginning, but I'm looking at it more for the relaunch era from Capital Game Show till now. This is going to be the second time people are going to be seeing you in the ring. Do you look at this as a must-win for you, where when you get past Black Roze and the title start to come up, that you could put yourself in that position to contend for a title?
Oh, definitely. I think every match is a must-win at this point, just to keep me in the thoughts and keep me kind of going in that direction. Without this win, it's going to be tough. And then, like I said, it's one of those things that's going to hopefully push me and shoot me to the top of the list when that title does come out. And when we get to that point, it's going to put me in a good place.
And I think realistically, because I feel like with a lot of the matches on this card on Saturday, for a lot of the wrestlers, I think it's a must-win because we're getting to that halfway point of the year. The fall's coming up soon. There's be a couple more shows that the Dynasty has that are announced now, and like I said, eventually titles are going to be a part of the play, so to speak. Now, when that time happens, how important is it to you to be one of the first guys to go for that belt?
And even thinking about before the relaunch, it's been Dynasty has always been in my heart. I've always been there. I've put my sweat, blood, and tears down on that ring. Not just in the ring, putting that ring up, tearing that ring down. I put in a lot of work, and just doing that has pushed me and push me to that point where I want to be in that position where I can be at least a contender for something like a title and be in that top spot at least. Even if there's no title, I want to be in that top spot.
So I think, and I can definitely see that. And I think if you're, when you get the win on Saturday, I think that's going to put you in a very good position to get that win. I just think the way that I think personally for you that you're going to be able to finally get to that top is to get the monkey off your back. And the monkey off your back is, as you called it, the rhinoceros known as Brandon Smuth.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's going to be the biggest part for you, going into the summer and eventually the fall.
Yeah, I definitely need to shake this off. If it comes down to it, it might come down to me having to put him out of Dynasty in order for me to be able to take that next step. So if I have to do that, I will. I mean, I'll do what I can. Obviously, like, just looking past him, there's a lot of good people, a lot of good wrestlers, a ton of good talent at Dynasty, and I see myself in the ring with those guys after all this.
You bring up the fact that, and definitely I agree with you that the roster for the Dynasty is incredibly loaded. With that being said, is there, if you can name like maybe 2 or 3 guys that you would like to face after you get past Saturday and after you get past Brandon Smuth, who would they be?
Well, on the top of that list, HBO. I would love to get in the ring with him. I've been in the ring with him in the past. We've had some awesome matches. I would love to get back in the ring with him. Sergeant Fury. Some love-hate there. Mostly love. But, I mean, that would definitely be one of those matches, one of those dream matches for me to get in the ring with him and knuckle up, if you will.
And I think those are 2 guys. I think especially with somebody like Sergeant Fury, where you guys, in essence, whoever wins that can definitely sit there and say, well, I'm the heart and soul of the Dynasty. Because you guys are both, I mean, obviously you've been there since, from the early days. Fury now has become, not just me, a lot of the fans of Dynasty have said it, that they think Fury is one of the heart and souls of the company. So it can definitely be an interesting, couple of matches coming up, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, those 2 would be awesome. That would definitely, those 2 would be good match, and I would enjoy both of those.
But I want to go back for a second, because you said before that you'd be willing to do whatever it takes to take Brandon Smuth out. Would that, because you take Brandon Smuth out, okay, that's one part. Not saying you want to take out your dad, but do you almost think you would have to almost take Mr. Mann out of the equation as well? Because realistically, you take Brandon Smuth out, Mr. Mann can go align himself with somebody else.
That's very true. Honestly, the old man, I mean, I put him down a bunch of times. He keeps getting up, and he keeps coming back. Might take something drastic. I mean, I might have to get Mama involved. Might have to get her involved to hold him back. Well, I take my next steps away from him.
And I only say that for the reason being, like I said, you take Brandon Smuth out, that's all well and good. But we all know Brandon Smuth isn't the guy pulling the strings. We all know it's Mr. Mann. And realistically, you take Brandon Smuth out, Mr. Mann can go align himself with somebody like a Conan, if Conan happens to become a regular at Dynasty. Hell, he could even align himself with a Fox Vineyard, even. I know it'd be kind of, being interesting, being that both Mr. Mann and Fox love to talk. I mean, we've seen it constantly.
That's very true. Like I said, Brandon's just a start, and Mr. Mann would definitely have to be the person that gets I said punch in the mouth a lot this time. He would definitely have to be taken out of Dynasty in order for me to really take that next step. And if I have to do that, I will.
Now, would you, you said that, getting the monkey off your back with Brandon Smuth would help it. But would it be safe to say then the bigger issue you have isn't really with Brandon Smuth per se? He's just vicariously part of the issue, but the bigger issue is with yourself and Mr. Mann.
Oh, definitely. I mean, obviously, we've gone back to the beginning of Dynasty. Everybody kind of knows that story. If you've been watching Dynasty, you know that story. It was a long one where, my dad was poisoning me to keep me under his thumb, and let's just say using me as a weapon against other people. So, yeah, he would definitely have to be the one taken out to really get that, as you said, the monkey off my back. It would have to end with Mr. Mann. And if it comes down to it, I'll fight him in a match if he's open to it. Right, old man? You open to it?
So, folks, for people who watch this later on, yes, Wayno just challenged not only Brandon Smuth to a match at a future Dynasty show, but he also did just challenge Mr. Mann as well. Your ears are not deceiving you. That did just happen.
Let's do a 2-on-1, old man.
I would definitely pay to see that one, and I think that can definitely be entertaining, to say the least, because that one would almost remind me of back in the day when Punk took on. It's going to be a bad comparison because of what happened with this wrestler, but you'll get my point with this in a second. You could almost do a setup here. This is actually a better way to phrase it. You can almost do a setup with Brandon Smuth that if you beat, when you do beat Brandon Smuth, you get 10 minutes in the ring with Mr. Mann. Similar to what WWE did with Punk back in the day when Paul Heyman turned on Punk to align himself with Ryback. And it was the same type of setup. And I remember the visual was must have been Night of Champions, I think 2010, I think. I could be wrong on my dates here, but I don't remember if that's, and you see the look in Paul Heyman's face of, oh shit, this is about to happen. I could see that same story being played out with you and Brandon Smuth, where it's, Mr. Mann keeps pushing up, going, oh, I don't want to fight you, don't want to fight you. And he turns around to you and goes, okay, I'll fight you if you beat Brandon one-on-one. I could see that being a storyline going further.
I mean, like I said, I'll beat up anybody to get to Mr. Mann.
I can definitely see that. But I want to change gears here for a second because, we focus a lot on Brandon Smuth and Mr. Mann, but that's not who your opponent is on Saturday. I was about to say on Sunday, on Saturday. I know I've asked you this before, but what is your mindset going into this match on Saturday?
Honestly, the mindset is to focus on Black Roze, get the win, hopefully, and then move on to the next steps. But honestly, I don't think, in my eyes, I don't see Mr. Mann not doing something. So Black Roze is going to be in front of me. Mr. Mann is probably going to be right behind me. I plan on doing my best and pinning Black Roze and getting the win, but I'm going to always have that, like you said, that monkey on my back, Mr. Mann, just watching me. So the goal is go in, hit Black Roze hard, try to end the match quick as possible. That's my goal because it's going to be the only way that I'm going to probably get out of there without something happening.
And unfortunately, we've seen what Mr. Mann does, and I think the better bet is how quickly into the match on Saturday he gets involved. Because I agree with you. I think Mr. Mann will have some sort of play, some sort of interference in your match on Saturday.
I can definitely see that happening. I mean, honestly, if I see him in the back, maybe I punch him in the mouth first. Get it out of the way.
Hey, it may be the quickest way to do it, but it'll get your point across. But Wayno, like I said, I'm glad we were able to get you back on. I definitely want to get you back on again for future, for anything else you'd like to promote. The door's always open.
Yeah.
Before we let you go, where can the fans connect with you on social media?
They can find me at Facebook. You can find Wayno. My page is up there. I'm also on Instagram, Wayno as well. I think I'm Wayno on everything. So if you find me, you want to contact me, obviously go like the Dynasty. Go follow. Go watch some of those videos on YouTube. Catch up with the backstory. They're on YouTube. Go find the Dynasty matches. Just search the Dynasty Wayno, and you'll see all my matches from the past. And like I said, go like and follow. Oh, and go like and follow Around the Road podcast, please.
I appreciate that. And guys, you can catch Wayno this Saturday as he takes on Black Roze. Again, guys, if you want to buy your tickets, you definitely can. Tickets are still available. Go to www.purplepass.com/B, 4, Impact. That's the B, 4, IMPACT. Definitely get your tickets. It's going to be a crazy night of action. Not only will you see Wayno in action, Fox Vineyard will be in action. The Diamonds division will be in action. You have the aforementioned Brandon Smuth will be in action, and so much more. And there will be surprises. I mean, the one thing I will say about Chris Envy is he has surprises up until the show.
Yeah, always up his sleeve. The guy is a little mastermind.
I totally agree. But guys, definitely go check out the Dynasty. Like Wayno said, go to the YouTube page, hit the subscribe button for them. And also, while you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button for Around the Ropes podcast. This is where you'll get notification. And by the way, folks, for either Around the Ropes or the Dynasty, it's free to subscribe. It costs you nothing.
Yep.
And for Around the Ropes, not only will you get all these YouTube exclusives, but you also get notifications of the live shows. You'll get notifications of specials that I do and all that fun stuff. If you want comprehensive coverage of the independent scene and comprehensive coverage of the Dynasty, definitely go subscribe to the Around the Ropes podcast. And also, folks, we are on Spotify now as well. Yeah, Wayno, that's why I made it very simple. It's right down there. Just type in those words and find it. But guys, also we are on Spotify as well, where you can listen, because if you don't have the ability to watch the video, you can also listen to the video. If you go to Spotify, just search Around the Ropes podcast. You search for that logo that's actually right above Wayno's head. Look for that logo. That's where you'll get all the interviews up there. They're usually up within a day or so. And definitely follow us on there. If you'd like us to leave a review as well, that helps with the algorithm. So definitely leave a review and all that fun stuff. But again, Wayno, thank you so much for hopping on. I appreciate it. And guys, we will be continuing with the Dynasty Week, as next guest will be Fox Vineyard. But guys, for Wayno, I'm John. This has been Around the Ropes, YouTube exclusive. Guys, catch you guys next time right here on the Around the Ropes podcast.